Welcome back, socialites. This is your host, Anso, and you're listening to the Soul Talks Club, the space where we heal out loud and that one conversation at a time. Today, we're stepping into a topic that's honestly been brewing in my spirit for quite some time now, and that's career confidence and the limiting beliefs that keep women playing small. This one's for you if you've ever doubted yourself, waited for the perfect moment to start, or second guess whether you're qualified enough to take up space. Because your gifts are real, your voice is needed, and confidence, girl, that's not a personality trait. It is a muscle that's waiting to be trained. But before we get into that, this podcast is powered by Seven Studios, the creative home for bold ideas right here in Cologne. So, whether you're building a brand or you're launching your own podcast or even just testing out something new, Seven Studios is where vision meets execution. So, if this is you, feel free to reach out to the team and they'll help you figure everything out. And as a socialite, you get 5% off of your first booking by using the code TSC5. You'll find it in the show notes. All right, so let's get into it. You know, I think one of the reasons why coaching came so naturally to me is because I've always been that person, that friend that hype ups her people, or who even tells strangers, you should absolutely do that, or you got this, even as they were feeling unsure. Just encouraging foes when they were excited or nervous or stuck. And to me, that was always normal. What I didn't realize at the time was that the reason it came so naturally to me is because I've always had that. Growing up, I've had an insanely supportive environment. My parents weren't perfect by any means, but they believed in me. Even when my ideas were completely wild, they backed me with full confidence, and I thought that that was just how everyone else was raised too, until I realized that it really wasn't. So many people never heard, "You got this." In fact, the first people to shoot their dreams down were often the people closest to them: family, friends, the people who knew them best. And not because they were evil, but because their boldness triggered something in their unhealed fear. And that's when it clicked. I wanted to be the cheerleader some people never had. Not because it's cute, not because it's trendy, or not because I get anything out of it, but because we don't realize how often people don't even try because no one ever told them it's possible in the first place. So if that's you, I see you, and this episode is your reminder that you do not need to wait for proof, permission, or popularity to walk in your purpose. Okay, so we talk a lot about confidence like it's something that you're born with, but let me tell you, confidence is usually built, even in community. When people believe in you, it creates a mirror. But when you don't have that mirror, when you're building it solo, that's a different kind of strength. And some of you are in that silent building phase right now. There's no applause, no validation, just your own faith. And that, my friend, is you doing the holy work. I want to speak to the woman who feels like she's the first to do something in her world. And maybe you are the first to ever leave your hometown, the first to get a degree in your family, the first to start a business, the first Black girl in the room. And I know I've been there. I grew up in a small German town where I was the only Black girl for years. And after me, many others came. And that's when I realized something is not just about you or what you achieve, but sometimes it's really about the doors that you open up for others. So if you're scared, let me tell you this: be the first anyway. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's unfair. It is hard. But being the first doesn't always mean that you have to carry it alone. It just means that you're creating a new normal for someone else's to be the blueprint. You're paving the road, and it means that your courage will become someone else's clarity. Isn't that so powerful? Now let's talk about credentials. I had a conversation with another coach not too long ago, and she was feeling a little shaky. This woman, let me tell you, she has a PhD, like she's literally an expert in her field, and she still felt like she wasn't ready enough. We laughed about it at first, but then it really got real. That's how deep imposter syndrome can go. You could be one of the most educated people in your field and still feel like you need yet another certification before you're even allowed to speak. And listen, I'm not against learning, okay? I'm pro excellence, but at some point, perfectionism is just a fear that is holding you back to take the next step. And I've been in rooms with people who knew less, but still spoke with confidence. I've seen how easily people with real wisdom silence themselves because they didn't feel polished enough. Your purpose doesn't wait for your perfection. God does not call the qualified. Instead, He qualifies the called. My mentor once told me some things you can't prepare for. You just have to go out and walk on water. And this is something that really stuck with me. Faith isn't knowing how it'll work, but it's showing up anyway. And as a Christian, I know that I'm never walking alone. So even when I feel shaky, I remind myself that if God called me to it, He's covering the gaps that I do not currently see. If you're a woman with a dream, then chances are that you've been stuck in analysis paralysis. Over researching, overthinking, planning the plan of the plan. And meanwhile, there's someone else with less talent, less experience, and less integrity who's already doing the thing that you're too scared to start. Not because they're better, but because they're willing to fail faster. Success doesn't come to the smartest, it'll come to the most resilient, to the ones who get up quickly, to the ones who pivot, and to the ones who learn publicly and stop waiting to be perfect. So let's be real here. Sometimes when we see confident women, we don't actually hate them. We just envy their freedom, their boldness, and their unapologetic, I'm doing this anyway. But see, that envy, it's not always ugly. Sometimes it's just a clue, it's a mirror, it's something that's showing us that we've been silencing ourselves. So I want to challenge you. Next time you feel comparison creeping in, pause and ask yourself, do I actually think she's too much? Or does she just do the one thing that I've been too scared to do? You don't have to be more than anyone else. You just have to come as you are. You're not less, you're not late, you're not an accident, you're evidence. You're not required to be extraordinary, but you are required to feel fully capable, fully chosen, fully equipped. Let's get into the DMs. This one today comes from Erica. And she writes, Anne, I've been thinking about starting my own thing for almost 2 years. I have the skills. I even have people asking me for help already, but I keep freezing up. I feel like I don't have a unique voice, and I feel like everyone's already doing what I want to do, and they're also doing it better. Erica, let me stop you right there. See, the fact that there's other people who are already doing it just proves that there is a need. And here's the thing, they're not you. Your story, your voice, your lens, your language, that's what makes the difference. You may feel like you're late to the game, but our God is never late. He's strategic. And the market might be crowded, but your seat at the table is still being reserved. And if the table doesn't exist yet, go ahead and build it. Pull up the chairs, and people are going to come after you. So don't wait for permission. Don't wait to be ready. Don't feel like you need to be validated by the same people who might never see you clearly. You're allowed to build, allowed to speak, and you're allowed to step into what God already said is yours. Your confidence isn't arrogance. It is alignment, it is obedience, and it is legacy. So today, I want to read for you from Joshua 1, verse 9, and it says, Haven't I commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. If this episode gave you that little push, I encourage you to share it, to tag your girl who's sitting on her next best thing, and send it to the group chat. Speak life into each other. And also, if this was your first time with us, welcome to the club. You're a socialite now. See you back next week here in the living room.